Hey guys, it's Candace Scott, and I am here today to talk to you about why you may not be able to lose weight. Now, there are tons of reasons why you may think you may not be able to lose weight, but I'm going to go over today 5 reasons that I've discovered to be the most prevalent through my clients, through years of personal training, into why you may not be able to lose weight. Now hang with me. So today we're going to talk about those 5, and I'm going to really go into why those 5 are what I think they are. And then at the end, stick with me because I'm going to go into what you can go ahead and do today to really get the ball moving and hopefully reverse some of these ways that may be inhibiting you from reaching your goals and getting to the weight loss that you so desire. Because let's be honest, as a woman, we typically go ebb and flow throughout our lives. We go through phases where we do really well, and then we just can't get the weight off. And as we age, it can be a variety of reasons, from hormones to stress to just things in our life that we don't even realize we're doing. So that's what I'm going to go over today in the 5 reasons why you may not be able to lose weight. All right, so number 1, improper diet. Now, I do want to say real quick before we dive into this, if you have any questions at any point throughout this video, be sure to comment those questions below and I'll be sure to get back to you. So if I don't answer one of your questions in this video, you can ask it and I'll be sure to respond. All right, so number 1, improper diet. Now, when I say an improper diet, you may be thinking of just the wrong foods, thinking fried foods, dairy, things that you know you probably shouldn't eat, like fast food, McDonald's, but you may eat every once in a while, which is not a terrible thing, or you may eat all the time. But it can also mean healthy foods, things that you think are healthy that just aren't, and they may be loaded with sugar. So what are those reasons and why do I believe that improper diet? Well, calories in are still calories in. So whether it's good calories or bad calories, they can still add up to be too much. So you can't have too much of a good thing. For example, if you're eating 2 full avocados a day, you may need to check yourself, because that, yes, avocados are great for you, but 2 a day, that is way too much fat and way too calorie dense for you to really be eating anything else. So again, of course, we think of the fried stuff, we think of the McDonald's, we think of the bad stuff, the super sugary sweet stuff that we know we shouldn't eat, but we need to be paying attention to, if we are eating that kind of stuff, how much of it we're eating, and are we adding in other nutrient dense foods along with that to kind of supplement and offset it, and paying attention to your total calorie count. Now, I'm not saying that you need to count calories every day, but if you just take a day or 2 out of your week and just kind of look at what you're eating and you see that it's way too much than even what you would imagine it to be, then you probably need to back it down. And on top of that, we also need to learn how to read labels. Now, that can be the biggest takeaway from this. You can check out my last video on how just to do that, and it can kind of go into in depth what you need to look for. But just getting comfortable and looking at that label, and if there's a bunch of things on it that you can't even read, that should be an indicator that you probably don't want that item. Why? Because a bunch of processed or fake foods in a food cause inflammation. Inflammation causes us to store fat. It causes that fight or flight response, cortisol and stress on our body to increase, which in turn causes us to hang on to fat. Then we also need to look at the sugar content. And if you're a woman who has found herself not being able to lose weight like she once could, then I am talking to you especially right here. And that is because it can definitely play a role in that, eating too much sugar. Why, you may say? Because Too much sugar can play with our hormones, meaning estrogen, having too much estrogen in our body. It can disrupt the cycle of being able to use sugar as energy like you should, which can cause insulin resistance and things like PCOS, but it can also cause you to not be able to lose weight because your body is hanging on to that sugar, storing it as fat around your midsection and inhibiting your ability to lose weight and affecting your metabolism. And then there's the opposite spectrum when it comes to eating, and that is not eating enough. And take it from me, I screwed myself up a long time ago, but that's for another day. If you do not eat enough, it can affect your metabolism, it can slow it down, and that is the last thing we want, right? We want a good, fast metabolism, so everything we're eating is getting utilized properly within our body. It is either used as fuel or it's going through our digestive system, the nutrients are coming out of it, and then we're releasing it. But if your metabolism is slow, then it's hanging on to all that for too long, and it can end up being stored as fat. And your thyroid plays an important role with this. So not eating enough can mess that up. And then it can also go into, if you're working out super hard and you're doing all the things and then you're starving yourself, you're not getting adequate nutrients and foods to help your body recover. When that happens, that's going to cause you to be at an increased inflamed state, causing inflammation to go up and cortisol to go up, which makes you not be able to lose weight. It's a vicious cycle. So you want to make sure that you're allowing your body enough time to recover. Not to mention, you want to build lean muscle, and the biggest way to do that is not only to lift heavy stuff, but also to add in lean protein or other recovery aids that really can help your body rebuild itself. So you want to make sure you're eating enough if you're trying to tone up, if you're trying to really drop body fat, then that is the way to go. I know it goes against everything that we think, but it's the truth. Moving on, can also affect the absorption of nutrients. So you want to be able to get the right things from food you're eating. If you're eating processed stuff, if you're not eating enough, if you're eating too much trans fats or just fake sugars, then your body is not going to get the adequate nutrients it needs to help with your energy, to help with your metabolism, and in turn affect your overall weight. And last but not least, when it comes to improper diet, I'm going to touch on your gut. Now, our gut is like our second brain, and that is where a lot of things happen. Our gut needs to be able to absorb nutrients. It needs to be able to digest your food. And if you're eating a bunch of crap over time, that can mess up the balance of good bacteria to bad bacteria, where that bad bacteria is overgrown, and then you're not absorbing the right things, and then you're causing more inflammation, leading to leaky gut, to where proteins and things like that can leak into your body and cause inflammation. So guys, we want to eat good stuff. We want to supplement right, and we want to pay attention to what we're putting in our mouth, literally, no pun intended, but you really want to pay attention to that to make sure that you are going to get the weight loss you are trying to achieve. A study actually found as well that on artificial sweeteners in the microbiome indicated that they can actually induce glucose intolerance. So what that means is it can lead to metabolic disease, and glucose intolerance means that you're not metabolizing sugar essentially as you should in that whole process, which means again that it's going to cause inflammation, cause your body to store fat. So artificial sweeteners really can be more harmful than normal sugar. So don't go for that Splenda. It tricks your body. It does. Don't go for it. So what can you take away from this number one reason? And it's not like number one, so let's make sure that's clear first. These are just in a randomized order. But what you can take away from improper diet. So if you were eating complete crap, you may not be able to lose the weight you want. That should be a given. But even processed foods that seem to have low calorie, low fat, not a good idea because your body's not going to absorb things right. It's going to cause inflammation. If you're eating healthy processed foods, it could have too much sugar in it. It could have too much of X. You want to pay attention to what you're eating. And if you want to find out more about this, again, check my last video and it can go into how to read nutrition labels and what to look for. There'll be a link at the bottom. And then, of course, poor diet, micronutrient balance. So we want to make sure that our body's absorbing all the things from the good food we're eating as it should. And if we're not eating the right things, there's not going to be any nutrients to absorb. And when that happens, it affects not only our metabolism, but our energy, our cells, and it can even cause more imbalances along the line from stress, anxiety, and even blood flow and things of that nature. So we want to make sure that we're getting those good nutrients. And then again, when regards to the gut, we'll get that imbalance of good to bad bacteria. We want the good to outweigh the bad, and we want the gut to do its job. If we have too much bad stuff going on in there, it can lead to leaky gut, leading to inflammation, which can lead to weight gain. Cool? All right, so that's my first reason why. My second reason why, and it may come as a surprise to you, to some of you, but your workouts. Now, your workouts can actually really help your weight loss, or they can really hurt them. And then you're going to start to see a similar theme through all of these reasons. But if you've not been pushing yourself hard enough, of course, then you're not going to lose weight. You're not going to tone up. You have to keep changing things up. You have to challenge yourself. You have to push yourself in a way to where you're changing up your reps, you're changing up the volume, or you're changing up the load, the intensity, whatever have you, every about 6 weeks or so. If you're not, your body's going to plateau and you're going to stop seeing that weight loss. And your body changes over time. So your workouts should too. And whether it's a recovery time or it's a load or volume or all the reps, that is where you should be changing things up every 6 weeks so that doesn't happen. And then as a woman, also paying attention to your cycle, and depending on what time of the month or what part of your cycle you're in, that can actually play a role into what workouts you should be doing. And I have a whole video on this as well. You can find that, again, I'll link it at the bottom as well. But depending on what cycle you're in, your weight loss can be better or worse, and you can cause more harm than good when it comes to your workouts. Now, the first part of your cycle, so let's call that your follicular phase, so right after your period, that's when your hormones are rising, and that is when you're going to have the most energy and you're going to get the most bang for your buck out of your workouts. That's when you should be doing the super high intensity stuff or really trying to go heavy to gain that lean muscle. There's been studies shown that fat loss is better in the first half of your cycle than the second. In the second half, that is, so let's call that your luteal phase. So after ovulation, that is when your hormones start to drop, when you're leading into menstruation. So at that point in time, your anxiety's up, your metabolism is speeding up, so you can actually eat more, you tend to be hungrier, but with your anxiety and hormones falling, that can make you more at risk to stress and already be predispositioned, if you will, to stress and having higher cortisol levels. So doing a really hard workout or set you back rather. And that's something you don't want. You want to be able to adapt and move with your cycle, do workouts accordingly with it to really help with those hormones and to make sure that you are getting the most out of each day and not causing hormonal imbalance, because hormonal imbalance is what can cause also more reasons why you can't lose weight. And we'll touch on that in a little bit. But so think about where you are in your cycle. And again, I have more references to this on another video, but cycle syncing can be a big component. And also the next point I want to make is that you don't need to work out like men all the time. Now, it's okay to do a workout with your boyfriend here and there, or your husband, but working out exactly like a man can actually cause issues. And here's why. Most studies that have been done on weight loss in regards to workouts are done only on men. And that is because men function off a 24-hour cycle, hormonal cycle, whereas women, we fluctuate off a 28-day cycle. So we go up and down over a long period of time. They do within 1 day. So their recovery is much quicker than ours in regards to hormones. So a lot of these weight loss trends you see are only indicated for men. Look at the actual research and studies and see if they did it on both men and women, or if it was just men. If it's just men, then you may not get the same results. So you need to listen to your body. And that's the biggest takeaway. Don't do something just because it worked for someone else. Doesn't mean it's going to work for you, especially if that person was a man. So make sure that you are doing things that will support and help your body. So what to take away from this round is that your workouts could be to blame if you haven't been changing things up recently and you've been doing the same dang thing for too long, or you are working out hard at the wrong times of your cycle. You're doing too much hard stuff. You're not letting your body recover, meaning you're doing HIIT workouts every day or at every part of your cycle, when you should really only do them at certain points and let your body recover at those other times. And then you are also doing workouts like the guys, and you're not letting your body recover. You're going too hard and your body's not recovering like a guy's can within 24 hours. So again, you've got to just find what works for you. And that is why your workouts may be to blame. The next reason why you may not be able to lose weight is lack of sleep. I know you've probably heard this before, but it's so true, and here's why. So when you don't sleep, it actually causes a stress on your body internally, and it can mess with your hormones and your anxiety levels, your emotions, because sleep is when your body recovers. It's kind of when it resets, and you need to make sure you're getting that REM sleep, which is that deep sleep, for about an hour or so every night. It kind of goes through a cycle, but you want to make sure you're getting that because that's key to keeping that emotional health balance. And if you're not getting that, then you need to really try to work on that, work on your sleep habits, and work with someone to really help reset those, because without your body recovering, you're going to be in that constant fight or flight state too often, and that's going to just cause you more harm than good in regards to weight loss. It's going to get your hormones up, it's going to get your stress up, and it's going to make you super inflamed internally, which makes your body hold on to fat. And then your metabolism also functions off a circadian rhythm, which is 24 hours. So it wants to work off a certain cycle. And when your body is not getting that recovery time at night like it thinks it should, then it's going to throw that off, and it's going to throw off your circadian rhythm. It's going to throw off your metabolism, and in harm, it will either increase stress hormones or slow down that metabolism, and it can also cause your hunger hormones to get out of whack, ghrelin and leptin. So it can also, going into those two guys, lead to type 2 diabetes, and that's because it can throw off your stress hormones, and like I've been mentioning before, when that happens, it causes inflammation. And when that happens, you can have low levels of leptin, which is your hunger or appetite control hormone, and ghrelin, which is your hunger hormone. And when you have low levels of leptin, then you might overeat, and it may cause, as a result, cortisol. You guessed it, goes right up, which can affect progesterone, which can affect estrogen, which can affect all those other hormones, and again, impact your weight loss. So make sure you're getting enough sleep. So to take away from this one, what you need to look for is making sure that you're getting enough good sleep. Aim for 7 to 8 hours, but getting REM sleep. So you're getting that deep sleep. You're having dreams. That's a good way to tell. And then making sure that you're going to sleep around the same time every night. If you're not, then it could be sleep that is causing the problem, because it's throwing off your circadian rhythm and throwing off your metabolism. And that you're not getting enough, which in case causes stress. So that leads into those hunger and female reproductive hormones getting all out of whack and causing more problems than good. We have alluded to the last two reasons why you may not be able to lose weight throughout this whole video. So I'm going to go into these last two, but we've kind of already touched on them, and I wonder if you can guess which ones they are, what I'm going to say. Now, if you have never gotten your hormones checked, it's honestly a very good thing to do because it can give you insight into so much. Because hormones can play into not only weight loss, but anxiety, mood, sleep, everything. It can make a big, big difference. Now, essentially, hormonal imbalance can mean imbalances of progesterone and estrogen, your sex hormones, leptin, ghrelin, your hunger hormones, cortisol, and adrenaline, your stress hormones, just among a few. First, I'm going to talk about progesterone and estrogen imbalance. Now, progesterone and estrogen are what kind of cause women's cycle and allow us to conceive and have a child. In our cycles, estrogen should rise during the first half and then start to fall in the second, where progesterone increases. So we want them to kind of be, progesterone, they should always kind of be around each other, kind of going up at one point, down, and then the other goes up and down. So they kind of play off each other. Now, a lot of women nowadays, we see estrogen dominance. And what that means is you have low levels of progesterone. Estrogen is too high, and it can lead to things like PCOS and insulin resistance, type 2 diabetes, that sort of thing, which all, again, allude to not being able to lose weight. One reason that progesterone can get lower, though, is because when cortisol is high, your body uses progesterone to make more cortisol. So it sucks all that progesterone up that should be doing another job to make cortisol, your stress hormone, because it thinks it's stressed. And it probably shouldn't be making that much cortisol, but it's because of where your body is and what state you're in at that moment. Then again, it can lead into PCOS. It can lead to insulin resistance, which can cause a terrible cycle of estrogen, where essentially your sugar that you should be using as energy does not get converted to energy because you have too much estrogen, and instead gets stored as fat. When that fat gets stored, it releases more estrogen, which again just kind of recreates this vicious cycle over and over and causing you not to lose weight. Then we also have to look at our thyroid. Your thyroid plays an important role in metabolism, and certain hormone imbalances can play into your thyroid and not releasing enough TSH, FH, all that good stuff to stimulate your thyroid and your metabolism to work effectively. So to recap, having any sort of hormonal imbalance can really make it a reason why you may not be able to lose weight, and it's something you should look at. It can make your body be tricked into thinking it needs to hang on to sugar and to food because it thinks it's in that constant fight or flight state. It can cause type 2 diabetes, insulin resistance, PCOS, and it can lead to inflammation and disruption of your microbiome. So all of that is connected. That's leading me to the last reason why you might not be able to lose weight, and it kind of encompasses everything I've said so far, and that's stress. Stress in our lives right now is higher than it has ever been before, but we can do things to combat that. We can do things like put our phones away. We can take 5 minutes a day just for ourselves, but we need to do some things to help combat that stress, to help us get our metabolism working. And here's why. So stress is bad. It causes inflammation. I think I've said that multiple times in this video. And we know inflammation can cause diseases such as what I've got, rheumatoid arthritis. It can cause things with your gut. It can cause Crohn's disease. It can even cause certain things like when inflammation gets high, there's studies showing it's linked to certain cancers. So we want to make sure we are controlling our stress levels. And not to mention what we're talking about today, it messes with our metabolism. It can slow it down. It can make you hold on to things or food because your body thinks it needs it, because back in the day when when a lion was attacking us and we were on our own for months out in the wilderness, we had to hold on to food. Our body knew that. So our bodies still think that way. We need to control that overlying stress response. And stress, guys, can come from numerous things. It can come from too hard of workouts, lack of sleep. It can come from stress at work, stress in your relationships. It can come from the food you eat, causing stress on your gut. It can come from antibiotics. It can come from different medicines, alcohol, things that you might not realize cause stress. And all of those internal stressors play a role just like external stressors do when you are arguing with somebody or you're stressed about work. They play the same way on inflammation, which again causes disruption in our metabolism and us holding on to too much to where we can't lose weight. What can you do to fix this? And here's where the tips come on what you can do to try to get your right foot forward if any of these things might apply to you today. And here's where I want you to start. I want you to start by going to bed around the same time every night for a week. So if you normally go to bed between 10, maybe 11, maybe 12, try around 10:30 every night for a week. And see if you don't feel a little different. Then keep trying that. So stick on that, see how you do. On the weekends, it's okay if you get maybe an hour or two out of that cycle, but try to stick close as you can to the same time every night of the week. Try to limit your processed foods. Look at those labels. Watch my last video on how to read labels and really pay attention to that. Try to eliminate as much processed crap as you can. And I'm not saying you can never have it, but try to have it in moderation. Go to the 80-20 rule. 80% good, healthy things most of the time, 20% of crap, you know what I mean. But try to stick to it that way and pay attention to what you're eating. And then change up your workout routine. Make sure every 6 weeks or so you're changing it up. If you need someone to help you come up with a plan, find somebody, ask someone for help. In any of these things, ask someone for help. Accountability is huge when it comes to this. You want to make sure that you are paying attention to what you're doing along with your cycle too. So pay attention to that. If you were just on your period, then you know that you should be able to push through some harder workouts that week following and possibly the week after, and then start to taper it off. Now, when I say you hit your luteal cycle, so after ovulation, that doesn't mean you cannot do anything strenuous. Listen to your body, but if you find that it's harder to recover, you do a really hard workout and then you feel like crap the next day, take that next day off. Listen to your body and then go for a walk. Do something still moving, but listen to your body. Learn what it feels like to know what's going on within you. Get in tune with it. And then the next thing is try to decrease stress. Now, I know this is hard. I know this is something that we're not inclined to do very well, but wake up a few minutes early. If you're going to bed earlier, you can wake up 5 minutes earlier and just spend those 5 minutes just alone in silence and just preparing your mind for the day. Do a gratitude journal. Go for a walk. Do something for just a few minutes a day that's going to help you. Take some deep breaths, deep breathe. Do what you gotta do to help yourself. And then just really try to pay attention to how you feel. Listen to when you're hungry. If you're not hungry and you're just bored, drink some water. You might be dehydrated. Listen to yourself, listen to your body, and learn what it wants. Don't eat just because you're bored. Eat when you are hungry. Know the difference. Drink water. Drink a lot of water. Have a glass of water when you first wake up. That's another tip. So those are just some easy things that you can go ahead and do now to get started and hopefully see a difference. Now, if you do some of these things for a month and you're still not seeing any results, then go see a functional doctor. That can make such a difference. Have them do your blood work. They look at micronutrients, they look at your hormones, and that can really give insight as to why there may be an imbalance, as to why you cannot lose weight. And we want to have an understanding of that because that can make all the difference in the world. And I hope that this really helped you have a better understanding as to why you may not be able to lose weight, why you have that frustration. And if you need help, please reach out, find someone, or come to me, ask myself. I'm happy to help. I develop plans for clients all the time, working one-on-one, remote and virtually with clients and in person on 6 and 12-week programming to help you reach your goals, and we take all of this stuff into account. So find someone who can help you. And if you want to get started today, head to the link at the bottom of this description and get a free workout from me that you can go ahead and start and do today. And it can be progressed as you go. So you can add more resistance, you can add more reps or weight, and you can see change as you are progressing in your workouts. So go ahead, steal that, take hold of that, and do that today, and be sure to tag me. And again, I hope that this provided you with some insight and helped you have a better understanding as to why you may not be able to lose weight. I promise you're not alone. So many of us feel this way at some point in our life. So until next time, guys.